Hello and happy Sunday. Could we ever just do this on not a weekend? It feels like we've had a lot of weekend severe weather, either weekends or Mondays, right? So Saturday, Sunday, Monday's been pretty busy for us this severe weather season, and this one's no exception. I'm Josh Johnson. This is a kind of stream you can see in a lot of different places. We're putting this one on Facebook, on YouTube, and on the WSFA family of apps. That means it's on the First Alert Weather app. It's on your WSFA app that you have on your smart TVs, Roku, Amazon, Apple Fire, places like that. So there's lots of places you can watch this. Before we get started, I do want to have just a quick conversation about this morning. There was a tornado warning that occurred that include parts of Dallas, Lowndes, and Watauga counties this in the middle of the morning, just after 10 o'clock. Now, a lot of you said you weren't able to find that coverage. A couple of things happened here. This was a very short tornado warning. We were here, by the way. Amanda was here. We had the weather department staff. We were on the air with that tornado warning within 1 minute of it being issued. But a lot of you went to stream that tornado warning, and by the time you got there to stream the coverage had already ended. So you were then redirected to a product called Local News Live. That's our parent company produces that product. It's basically a live look at what's happening in a lot of communities around the country. It's kind of our default live stream. Unless we're on doing something locally, that's what you'll see on the WSFA live stream. So for many of you, you heard about the tornado warning. You went to the WSFA app, you pulled it up, and there's no one there. Or there's a long commercial break. I'm talking 2-3 minutes. Or they're talking about stories for something way off. Understand what had happened there is the tornado warning was issued. We had gone on the air. We had streamed the coverage live on the app. And then after about 10 minutes, the tornado warning was canceled. We went back to programming both on the air and on the live stream, which meant a lot of you, by the time you went to look for the tornado warning, the warning was no longer even in effect. So that's thing one. Thing two, I would encourage you here is when we go live on WSFA, that coverage is instantly and immediately streamed live on our apps. It is usually streamed live on Facebook as well, but that's a separate process that requires additional staff and additional time. And in a situation like this morning where we're only on the air for 5, 10, 15 minutes, that process is still in the process of spinning up before, and we go off the air before that's even done. So let me just encourage you, the first place to look for severe weather coverage is not Facebook or YouTube. It is on WSFA, the TV station, WSFA's family of apps, and or WSFA.com/live. If we are on TV, it will be live there. This morning was different because by the time most of you got there, the coverage had already ended because the warning was over. So that's a little conversation we needed to have, a little piece of, kind of call it housekeeping, right? Now, another thing to talk about, which we'll get to, we'll dive into the weeds on this in a little bit, but there was likely, we don't know for sure yet, but I would say possibly, there was possibly an unwarned tornado in Willcox County. We've seen a lot of damage reports come in from the Pine Hill area in western Willcox County. We were here at that point of the morning as well. There was some rotation noted on radar, but it was not terribly strong. And in western Willcox County, we are too far away from the radar to get good low-level radar coverage. So the National Weather Service did not issue a tornado warning, so your weather radio didn't go off, your weather app didn't go off, we were not on TV. That doesn't mean that any part of those processes were broken. We were here waiting for a tornado warning to be issued. The Weather Service was looking at limited data that they could to try to decide to issue a tornado warning. So the solution here is to put in a radar in West Alabama. We talked about this a good bit. I have been working with partners at the private, state, county, local, and federal levels to accomplish this for years now. We have already had some accomplishment in that we've been able to work with NOAA and the National Weather Service to lower the elevation tilt of some of the other radars around. Okay. All right. We're not streaming on YouTube. I think on the station YouTube. This will be on the Josh Johnson YouTube page. So we got that going. So all that to say, there was probably an unwarned tornado in Willcox County. It is, we need better radar data out there. We were here, National Weather Service was there, everyone was doing their jobs. It's just a product of a lack of good low-level radar coverage. That's not an excuse, that's a reason. So, all right, let's dive into the storms we have now. This is tough stuff. East Alabama's getting hit hard right now. Thunder, lightning, gusty wind. The only active warning we have right now, though, is a severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Russell County and parts of eastern Lee, although it looks like they may have just trimmed there. No, that's still there. So Smith Station down 280 back into Columbus and Phoenix City. The main threat here is damaging wind gust. So if you live out in that part of the world, just understand this is a pretty tough storm with a lot of lightning, a lot of heavy rain, and some gusty wind. We will go in and make sure we're not missing anything from a rotation perspective. We haven't seen anything in a while. Let's clear the lightning off so we can take a good look in here. So we'll zoom you in right into the Phoenix City area. Strong straight line wind along the Chattahoochee River. That's it, though. There is not a nickel's worth of rotation in any of the rest of this. Then we have another cluster of storms back here. This would be back into more of east central Alabama, more into Macon County and Bullock County. Again, same concept here. It is raining torrentially. Isolated flash flooding is likely. Isolated flash flooding is already happening. We've been warning you about that for days now. That's in progress. We'll watch for any rotation, but so far, so good there. And then back down to the south, we've got to keep an eye on these individual cells popping across the wiregrass. This would be in eastern Crenshaw, Pike, southern Bullock, western Barber, Coffee, Dale, Geneva counties specifically. Right now they're behaving, but as they move towards the northeast, they could potentially rotate and cause brief tornadoes and some problems. I think the odds of that are pretty low. I've been a kind of a believer all along that today is a damaging wind and flooding setup, and the tornado risk, while present, is going to be on a very localized, very isolated, very brief scale. So this is not a tornado outbreak. This is not a day where you're going to have a tornado on the ground for 50 miles, but we could drop a quick, brief tornado like we probably did in Willcox early this morning, and like we possibly did in Dallas County in the 10 o'clock hour this morning. So this will all keep moving towards the east. So let's do this. Pop in over here now and show you a couple of different things, if you will. So first and foremost, it has rained a ton. Radar estimates right now already in the 3 to 5 inch category, and there's a lag in this. It is still pouring rain in a lot of places, and these numbers are going to go up higher. So a widespread 2 to 4 inches of rain, but then kind of that swath right here running from Camden back to Montgomery, back over to East Alabama, where we're talking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 inches of rain. And we're not done yet either. There's more rain that is still falling here. So here's Radar Scope. This is a product we use kind of behind the scenes, but you'll notice here the very large flash flood warning that goes like that. So if you look carefully, you can see it there. That's that flood warning. It includes Lowndes, Montgomery, southeastern Elmore, southeastern Tallapoosa, most of Macon, most of Lee, most of Chambers. The good news, if we have any, is that the way this is tracking, this is moving pretty steadily towards the east pretty quick here. So this is going, the heaviest part of this is going to move into Georgia, but there's more back to the west in terms of heavy rain. If you look back here, see all this? That heavy rain, that's all going to translate east through today into this evening. So we're not done yet. All of this back here is going to slide this way. So even in Montgomery, Greenville, Prattville, you're getting a break now. More heavy rain is on the way. Now, the severe weather threat in most of those places I just mentioned is over. The only real active severe weather situation is over here with the storms across parts of east and southeast Alabama. If you live from Montgomery points west, really the risk of severe weather is done with this. This transitions into more leftover rain and a flash flooding threat. So that's where we are with that. Let me show you this too. So this is the latest run of the high-res rapid refresh model. That is one of our more accurate short-range computers, and it's got the right idea. These storms are the ones that could produce severe weather. These back here are more likely just to produce torrential rain, lightning, thunder, and maybe a little gusty wind. But if there's any real tornado risk, it's pretty much confined to this eastern and southeastern corner of the state. So you'll notice by 4, 5, 6 o'clock, that begins to move more into Georgia. That secondary axis of heavy rain then moves in. And unfortunately for us, it makes it down here into south central and southeast Alabama this evening, and it stalls out. So the line never really clears the state. It's really more of a scenario that it stalls, weakens, and then eventually tomorrow it'll kick out of here. But notice 10 o'clock tonight, it's still pouring rain in a lot of central, east, and south Alabama. West Alabama, it starts to lighten up by then. But even on through the overnight and into sunrise on Monday, we deal with kind of multiple waves of very heavy rainfall. So we've already put 3, 4, 5 plus inches of rain in the bucket, and there's probably more of that on the way. And some places are going to deal with some pretty tough flooding problems overnight tonight into early on Monday morning. So you don't have to be traveling. Try to put that off if you can, particularly if you live in a flood-prone area. Now, I posted about flood-prone areas on Facebook and got a lot of questions about it. The best way to know if you live in a flood-prone spot is your own home's history. Does your home have a history of flooding? Has it flooded in the past? How often does it flood? And it's not necessarily a yes or no question, right? There are some homes that are extremely flood prone. They flood with some frequency. There are other homes that it takes a really extreme set of circumstances to create flooding. So it really just depends on your specific set of circumstances there in terms of any sort of flash flooding threat. Is your home in a flood prone spot? You know better than I do, and the answer is different. I mean, within one neighborhood, the answer will be different from one house to the next. Within a county, there's a million different answers. So it's not possible for me to walk you through each of these. You will have that information more than me, but I can tell you flood-prone spots are really going to have a challenging flood setup unfold as we move through the next 12 hours, and really maybe even beyond that into early on Monday morning. So that's where we are with that. You'll notice again by 7 o'clock, a lot of this, it's still falling. Notice, though, temperatures by this point have dropped into the 50s and 60s. So look, the severe weather risk, in my opinion, has got about another 2 or 3 hours in it, and it mainly is going to exist almost exclusively over here into east and southeast Alabama. This corridor right here, that's where I think we still have to be mindful of the risk of an isolated tornado, some damaging wind. Then overnight, the next band comes in, but by then the main jet stream dynamics, a lot of the wind shear, a lot of the instability lift out. So the tornado threat drops to basically zero after all of this moves into Georgia, which again, I think will happen sometime 5, 6, 7 o'clock this evening. After 7 p.m., this is almost exclusively a flash flooding threat. Understand right now it's both. We have a severe weather threat in the east and southeast. We have ongoing flash flooding in some of those same spots. And then even in areas where the rain has temporarily stopped, there's more on the way, and it will bolster that flash flood threat on through the evening and into the early part of Monday. So the answers sometimes are not as simple as yes or no. All right, so with that in mind, and summoning as much patience as I can find, we're going to brave the comments section. Oh, Nelly. Still waiting on the Josh Johnson t-shirts to drop any day now. Let's see. Shay says, I watched the coverage on Roku, and Amanda even stayed on an extra minute or two after they canceled it. So, again, look, I get nerves are frayed when you're in a dangerous sort of weather situation and you can't find coverage. That's frustrating. That is terrifying. I empathize with you. My advice is search for it on those WSFA outlets. And if we're not on WSFA, odds are good that there's no ongoing danger. So every now and then a storm will sneak up on us when we're not here, but that's something that happens once every 5 years. If you look on WSFA or the WSFA apps and there's no coverage, odds are good the tornado warning's no longer in effect. So how are we looking in Beauregard? Worst of it's through. It's still pouring rain. There's still gusty wind there. The threat will now transition into more of a flash flood risk over the next few hours. Watauga County, good. The rest of the day, severe weather threat is over in Watauga County. You will probably there will probably be some isolated pockets of flash flooding in Watauga as the evening wears on. Lots and lots of comments. What's the tornado risk overnight in Troy? Will it be mostly rain? Yes. You're not out of the woods right now from a tornado perspective in Troy, but you're pretty close. Give us another hour or two. I think Pike County's risk will essentially go away. Montgomery, look, for the city of Montgomery, I think the tornado threat is done. The Weather Service is going to hold on to the tornado watch a little longer, but that's their deal. That's their prerogative. I get it. Look, I think they're on the same page, so they're mainly concerned of east and southeast of Montgomery. I'll check and see to make sure the deal with the watch there. But for Montgomery, a flash flooding will continue. There may be additional flash flooding late tonight and tomorrow, but for Montgomery itself, the risk of a tornado, in my opinion, has ended. What about the threat of severe weather in southeast Alabama? Yeah, that's an area we'll have to watch. I really think the main threat is probably the northern half of this circle I've drawn. Sure, there are additional storms down here. I'm not sure that there's enough kind of ingredients, enough muscle in the atmosphere to spin up a tornado down in this. This has the appearance more of kind of small multicellular thunderstorms that are kind of just messy, whereas these are kind of your larger MCS, even HP supercell sort of looks up here. So eastern Macon, southern Lee, northern Russell, northeastern Bullock, that's the area where I think we've got to watch for the possibility of a brief tornado for another 90 minutes or so. So give us until about 5 o'clock, and I think that tornado risk will really begin to go down there. If you don't live inside this circle, in my opinion, the tornado risk is already over. If you're in the southern half of this circle, Troy to Eufaula and Point South, the tornado risk here is very low. Tornado risk here is low. So it's low everywhere, but we'll kind of just divide this in half here and say on the northern side of this, up here, the risk of tornadoes is low. And then on the southern half down here, it is very low. Let me apologize to my 6th grade English teacher, the wonderful, talented, amazing, kind Miriam Miller, for my terrible handwriting. It was not your fault. It's my fault. I take full responsibility. Severe threat, Covington County. Do I need to worry about the storms coming? No, you don't. This is over in Covington County. It's going to rain hard. There will be claps of thunder. There could be additional flash flooding, but Covington County, no more severe weather for you. Barber County, you need to pay attention for another couple of hours. The threat is low to very low, but it's not zero, so you'll have to kind of stay plugged in here. All right, let's pop back in and do a little storm tracking, right? There are no active severe thunderstorm warnings left in the state now. Using the Maxwell radar, we'll pop in, make sure we're not missing anything, right? That's sort of what we do here. That storm is rotating a little, but it's in Georgia now. So this is the Chattahoochee River right here. Columbus is there. That's Phoenix City. Some modest rotation. It's not a ton, but a little bit there, just northeast of Columbus, Georgia. We won't really concern ourselves much with that because my buddy Derek Kincaid and his staff at WTVM will be all over that. But up here, yeah, Bullock, Macon, Lee, Russell, I do not see any sign of rotation. And frankly, I think it's a long shot that we will. But sometimes long shots happen, so we'll have to kind of just watch, wait, and see, right? Will this rainfall give us a glimpse of the light at the end of the tunnel as far as the pollen, says Scotty. Yes, this will help. This will clean the air out a little bit. This will dampen everything down a little bit. I don't think we're done yet, obviously, but this is not going to hurt the cause. This is more good than bad from a pollen perspective. What about Auburn? Heavy rain continues. The risk of severe weather there is very low. It's not zero. There's also ongoing flash flooding. Marvin Parkway in Opelika is flooded. There are multiple roads in our area now that are flooded. So that's the deal there. Lake Martin area clear for tornadoes, yes. I think there's no more risk of a tornado in that part of the world. And what I'll do here is pop in, head over to the SPC website, and we will do some looking, see if we've got any mesos out. We do not. That's not bad news. That's good news. So this is kind of, again, one of those unique parts of these sort of events now where we're kind of in that transition period where there is still an ongoing risk of severe weather. It is very low. It will phase out over the course of the next few hours. However, the flood risk is ongoing now. So you've got an ongoing severe weather risk in the Far East. You've got a flash flooding threat evolving for essentially the entire area. And look, that's the trouble with this sort of setup, is we have already packed on a ton of rain. These are rainfall estimates off the Maxwell radar. And the numbers here: southern Dallas County up over 5 inches, northern Crenshaw around 5, and then a large swath of 2.5 to 4 inches, really right up I-85. So there will be additional problems with flash flooding in a lot of this corridor because we're not done yet. The short-range computer modeling shows more rain occurring later on tonight, even into Monday morning. So this, unfortunately, I think that I-85 corridor, really all the way from Valley, Lynette, Opelika, Auburn, Tuskegee, Shorter, Pike Road, Montgomery, and then from there on Highway 80 out west all the way into Selma and back into parts of southern Dallas, Lowndes, northern Willcox. That corridor from really Camden to Montgomery to Opelika to Lynette, that corridor I think is going to be a favored zone for additional flash flooding overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. So Janet says this is the most rainfall I've seen in Emerald Mountain. I believe that. Can we plant after this week of the cold? Yes, you can. You could even go ahead and plant now. We do not expect any sort of frost issues in our area. It stays just warm enough to not have to fool with that. But if you want to be completely safe, you could wait till the weekend. And that is our dirty little secret here that we've been talking about for days now. It is going to turn sharply colder. We're talking highs in the 60s, overnight lows in the lower 40s. The coldest night will be Tuesday night when skies clear. Not out of the question. Some of the northernmost parts of our area, northern Chilton, northern Perry, Coosa, Tallapoosa, Chambers, end up in the upper 30s. Could someone up there end up with a little frost? Yes, but I think that's an extreme long shot for most of us. There's really no appreciable risk of frost. And then we gradually warm things back up by the end of the weekend and into next week. Although we're not going to deal with, we had upper 80s and low 90s most of this past week. That's not going to happen again anytime in the immediate future. We see a lot of days very close to normal. That means highs in the vicinity of the low 70s. Now, it will be colder than normal Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but then after that, I think we rebound, and it's more typical for April weather. We're talking highs in the upper 60s and low 70s, lows in the 40s and 50s. That is right down the middle of the fairway for this time of year. What's the outcome for Barber County? So there is an ongoing, very low risk of severe weather in Barber. Hey, look at that. National Weather Service popped a tornado warning for Georgia. That's not for us, but that's the storm I highlighted for you just a moment ago as having some rotation. So the Weather Service, that's probably on the ground. Look at that. That's that brief tornado threat coming to fruition here over in Georgia. So again, this would be just northeast of Columbus, Georgia. If you have family or friends around Waverly Hall, over near Talbot in Georgia, this is going to move northeast there. They can go to WTVM.com/live and watch continuous expert coverage with a local team of meteorologists based out of Columbus for that right there. Let's also just pop in here and see, is this thing producing any tornado debris yet? I don't see an overwhelming sign of that, but let's animate it, see if we get a little clearer picture here as it comes on in there. No, I don't see anything that jumps off the screen, but the reflectivity that the storm's that's in a favorable area. You can almost see that little miniature hook echo right there embedded in the large area of rain. But the biggest signature is this one. This is the storm relative velocity. This shows us how the storm is rotating, and in the last scan or two there, it really tightened up. So that's why they popped that tornado warning. Again, this would be on the northeast side of Columbus, Georgia. Columbus downtown is right back here. This would be up in the Midland, Beaver Run, Charter Oaks area, and then from there this moves northeast on up towards Ellerslie and Ridgeway. So northeast of Columbus. If you have family or friends that live in the Columbus city limits, this is on the north side of town right now and moving away. So this will not affect downtown Columbus, but family or friends on the north side, you'll need to be weather aware and in that safe place. Now, again, this is all in Georgia. There is no active severe thunderstorm or tornado warning anywhere in the state of Alabama. If there was, we would be live. This would be a whole different conversation we'd be having. So, aside from the weather, are you going to make an appearance at the Sketch the Sky party Tuesday? Sadly, no, I have to work. Sketch Sky is at 4 o'clock, and I will be right here at 4 o'clock. I love Sketch Sky. Sketch Sky is one of my favorite things we do. I missed that about the morning shift, getting to go see Sketch the Sky and meet the kids. That's a really fun thing. Near Montgomery, risk of severe weather has ended, and then now we're dealing with a flood risk. So there's a comment that's dumb and I'm not going to read. Jared, by the way, congratulations. You are now invited to the block party. Hit the gates. Hit on out of here, brother. Jared getting himself blocked. You know, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes on the Josh Johnson Live weather conversations. And you, my friend, have played a stupid game. Now you're going to win a stupid prize. Your mother must be proud. Elmore County in the clear, ask Will. From severe weather, yes. From flash flooding, no, is the answer. So no tornado threat. Let's do this. I'll just draw kind of the red line. If you live anywhere west of that red line, my opinion is the risk of severe weather for you has ended. The risk of a tornado has ended for sure. You will have bouts of heavy rain. You will have additional thunder, additional lightning, torrential rain, flash flooding. So the weather's not good behind this line, right? It will still be rough. It will not be as bad as it is east of that line, though. And the tornado threat exists exclusively east of that line. Again, that line runs from Auburn to Union Springs to Troy to, say, Kinston, Sampson, Geneva. So right there, if you live left or west of that line, flash flood threat, continuing storms, no tornado threat. You live east of that line, flash flood threat, tornado threat, both continue. So there you go. So that's where we are right now. I'll wind this thing down in a few moments. Do you think I'll have a delayed start at school? Probably not. A lot of that will depend on the flooding. You know, how much rain do we actually get overnight? Those second and third waves that I showed you a few minutes ago, where exactly do those materialize? Where exactly do we see that heaviest axis of rainfall set up? Because it will be a narrow swath, and if you're in it, there could be flash flood problems that do linger into Monday morning. If you're outside of it, there will not be those problems. Computer models are able to resolve the fact that it will exist and the general idea of where. Computer models are not able to resolve exactly where it will set up. So there's some play in that, right? There's some wiggle room in there. So there will be a swath of heavy rain and flash flooding that is ongoing now. There will be additional corridors of that develop tonight, tomorrow morning. That's what the computer models can tell us. That's what our education and experience can tell us. What nothing can tell us is precisely where and precisely how much those will happen late tonight, tomorrow morning. So there you are. All right, got a tornado warning in Mobile. How about that? Take you in and show you that one. So this is a brand new tornado warning. This one coming out of Mobile, Alabama, way down south. So that's that second batch of storms. A little surprised by that. Now, I'll note here on the radar, there is a little rotation with that too. That's in southern Clark County. Then you've got the tornado warning storm back down closer to the city of Mobile. This would really be northwest of Mobile. It's of downtown Mobile. So this is popped here just in the last few moments. We'll click the play button here, and you can see that tornado warning pop there. If anything, you could make the argument that the rotation that prompted that warning is already kind of petered out. But this is where if there's anything left to it, it would be right there. Now, to get your bearings straight, this is Mobile here. This would be I-65 snaking back up towards northern Baldwin County. That's 110. That's Interstate 10 headed west towards the Mississippi coast. Your possible rotation would be here along U.S. Highway. I think that would be 98, perhaps. Let's zoom in a little tighter there, see if we can get a better idea. So your possible rotation will be out near the Tanner-Williams community, headed on up towards. A lot of these places are, the map thinks there's a place there, and it throws an old name of. There may have been an old church there years ago. A lot of these places don't even really exist. But yeah, there's tornado warning. This would be northwest of downtown Mobile. This will cross US 45 momentarily. So that's Highway 45 right there. And then you've got I-65 coming back north that way. That's US 43 right there. So that's 45, that's 43. So again, this is northwest of the city of Mobile. If you have family or friends who live in Mobile itself, it looks like they may have canceled it. Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, they killed the tornado warning. So you saw it pop up there, the red polygon, and then literally within a matter of 10 minutes it canceled. That's sort of the whole thing with this. That is what is going to happen within these storms. You're going to get these quick transient rotations. Now, the good news here, in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion, it's one man talking. My suspicion is this second batch of storms back here, it is moving in our direction. However, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. All this rain has already fallen. Most of the air is stabilized over most of our area. My suspicion is most of this will not produce additional tornadoes. Now, could that change? Sure, but I don't see it right now. Tony asks, any hope for a next red radar site at the Meridian Naval Air Station? We would love that. I don't see a lot of hope for that. Right now, the National Weather Service and NOAA, they're really not in any position to be building new radars at the moment. Maybe that changes one day. Eventually, they will have to replace the existing network of radars, and my hope is we're able to convince them that East Mississippi and West Alabama need to be near the top of that list. So we're also working on some public-private partnerships that could be useful on this. So I hope to be able to tell you more in the not-so-distant future. So Abigail missed what was said about Montgomery. For us in Montgomery, the main concern now transitions over to flash flooding. There is an additional corridor of storms back here that's going to pivot on through most of our area on into the late afternoon and early evening hours. We will watch for any additional rotation in that. I don't see it. I think this is really more of a flood threat. There will be some thunder, some lightning, some gusty wind, but the main threat here will be damaging wind, will be flooding as this comes on through the remainder of our area. We will, as always, though, keep an open mind. So like this, for instance, you've got some storms out here. Is there some mid-level rotation? Yes, it is very broad, very weak, doesn't look tornadic at all. So that's my take on how this is going to unfold over the course of the next several hours. All right, we've been going now for about 35 minutes on this live stream. I'm Josh Johnson. This is a live stream based out of Montgomery, Alabama. My job is the chief meteorologist at WSFA-TV. That's a TV station here in Montgomery. If you're watching this from afar, we welcome you. We have no ongoing tornado warnings in our specific part of the world right now. We had one moments ago down in Mobile County, Alabama, but that one has been allowed to expire. There is an additional area of rotation that we are watching in southern Clark County. If that were to tighten up and prompt a tornado warning, then that could affect parts of Monroe and Willcox downstream. I don't think that will happen. As these storms move north away from the immediate coast, they're moving into a more hostile environment where rain-cooled air and a decreasing amount of upper-level wind support argues against tornado development. Now, that's an argument, not a conclusion. So we will watch these storms. I'm not going away. We're here. We'll be here all the way, but we are convinced that the main threat from here on out for a lot of you from Montgomery West especially is flash flooding, but we will, as always, we'll keep an eye on all of this craziness. So, all right, we're gonna roll out now for a few moments, do some more analysis. As we go, we'll do a quick recap. There is ongoing risk, it is a very low one, of a quick tornado or some damaging wind gust over in this part of Alabama that you see here. So basically Auburn to Union Springs to Elba and points east, these storms here. Back to the west, there are additional showers and storms. These storms are in a less dangerous environment. So the tornado threat inside this area over here is in the low range. The tornado threat over here is extremely close to zero, but not quite there. So we'll watch the individual storms. We don't see any huge potential for tornadoes within this. There's no tornado watch. These storms are happening behind the main ingredients for tornadoes, but it's weather, it's Alabama, it's April. We know better than to turn our back on that. So we'll keep an eye on that. But as these move east, the main concern will be flash flooding. A lot of us have already had multiple inches of rain with more on the way. So flash flooding becomes the more kind of dominant threat here as you move through the rest of the evening once these storms move into Georgia. So that will happen quickly, by the way. They're moving east now. These storms will be in Georgia likely by 5 or 5:30 at the latest. And then we'll deal with the next couple of rounds that come out of the southwest, but those are mainly a flash flood threat. The tornado threat is near zero across most of our area from these storms. And yes, we've seen some rotation with these in far southwest Alabama, but remember, the better instability is near the immediate coast. Farther north you go, the more the rain-cooled air helps our cause there and reduces the tornado threat. So that's where we are now. Now, coming up, meteorologist Madeline Banks will have a full update on WSFA 12 News at 5 o'clock this evening. We'll talk about what happened in Willcox County, some apparent tornado damage there. We don't know for sure yet. And we'll look ahead. What's the flood threat through the rest of the evening? How much additional rain could we see? We'll cover you there. We'll be here throughout the evening. If there are additional problems with severe weather, we'll let you know. We'll do more live streaming. If you hear or see of severe weather, the first place you need to check should be WSFA TV and the WSFA family of apps. Facebook and YouTube are great for these sorts of discussions, but when it's dangerous and there is an instant, immediate threat of dangerous weather, you need to check the official WSFA sources, right? So there you go. All right, everyone. Hope you all have a wonderful afternoon and evening. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to go do some analysis in the background here. And we've got a full update coming up on WSFA 12 News at 5 in about an hour.